Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Train's 2012 album California 37. It's really great. It's one of their best albums and it's one of my favorites as well. So let's get into it. This is the track listing and these are the tracks I added to my playlist, which is all of them. This album is really great. It's almost perfect, I would say. Every song here is good and it flows pretty well. The album is pretty up-tempo, but it does successfully slow down a bit towards the back, and then speeds back up with the 8th and 9th tracks until slowing it down into the end again. The ending of the album is pretty great. When the Fog Rolls In is a pretty good ending track, and the lead up of California 37 and We Were Made for This is pretty good. They pull it together really well. The album never drags, despite having some slower sections. Tracks 6 and 7 are particularly slow, and then 10 and 11 are also pretty slow. And 3 and 4 are also... They have a lot of two song slow sections, but this album really doesn't feel draggy at all. And the fast sections never feel too samey, mostly because they're pretty between the slower sections. So this is a pretty well constructed album. There's a good diversity of sounds here. There's rock, pop, into a little bit of country, but the overall sound is still pretty consistent and well done for Train. The sort of pop-ish tone of the album is relatively clear and works pretty well. There's only one song released before the album, Drive By, which was on the radio along with Bruises and 50 Ways to Say Goodbye. All three of those songs were big hits at the time. My favorite track here, though, probably got to go with the title track, California 37, although I also really like the opening track, Maybe This Will Be My Year. It's kind of got the same vibe as We Didn't Start the Fire without being too boring and being Train. It's not just a cover or like a real homage. It's really still a Train song, so I like that. Now, I ranked this album second out of all the Train's albums, only losing out to the masterpiece of an album that is Save Me San Francisco. The fact that this album even comes relatively close to Save Me San Francisco is impressive on its own, as that album is basically perfect. The only thing that California 37 doesn't have that Save Me does is the more perfected flow and sound. In addition to having all the songs be good, Save Me San Francisco also has almost perfect flow, and the overall sound is really incredible. California 37 has good flow and sound, but it's not as good as Save Me San Francisco. So this album is a lot better than most of Train's work, though. A Girl, a Bottle, a Boat, and Drops of Jupiter don't have quite the same level of quality that California 37 has, and everything below that is just not as good. So this spot is well-deserved. Now, this album doesn't take my top spot from 2012. That goes to a different album that is also almost perfect. Imagine Dragons' debut, Night Visions, which I really love, and I think it's just much more innovative and thus more interesting than California 37. This is acknowledging that both albums have a similar level of quality. I just like Night Visions more. Next up is Blondie's 1979 album, Eat to the Beat. It's got a weird name, but I trust that the music will be good, so stay tuned for that, and as always, stay minty.